We're going to discover the Ihyach Asher Ihyach phrase coming up. The I am that I am is actually a threefold declaration. We're going to discover that he says the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob here, and he says it again later. If you want to talk about the hint, at least, of the Trinity, you can see it coming at least in three ways in this chapter. 3 times we have the threefold mention. And you can build on that if you like, but let's go on. He says, the Lord says in verse 7, the Lord said, I surely have seen the affliction of my people who are in Egypt, have heard their cry by reason of their taskmasters, and I know their sorrows. And I am come down to deliver them out of the hand of the Egyptians, and to bring them up out of that land into a large and good land, unto a land flowing with milk and honey, unto the place of the Canaanites, Hittites, Amorites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites. That, of course, will be Joshua's task subsequently. Now, incidentally, you can break this up into 7 pieces if you like. If you look at the verbs closely, he's seen, he's heard, he knows their sorrows. He's come down to them. For what purpose? To redeem them. Where? To the good land, a land of promise. He's going to take them on resurrection ground. Here, historically, you're going to confuse the land of milk and honey with the conquest of the 7 tribes. If you discover the Scripture spiritually, you'll discover you can unravel the sentence spiritually and argue that he sees, he's heard, he knows their sorrows. He comes down for the redemption, takes them on to resurrection ground, if you will, which is separate from the conquest of the land. And we'll unravel this as we get further into the book of Exodus. Anyway, this is the whole summary of redemption. In the narrow sense, what happened to Israel then. In a broader sense, what's going to happen to all of us in God's climactic program for us. Verse 9. Now therefore, behold, the cry of the children of Israel is come unto me, and I have also seen the oppression wherewith the Egyptians oppressed them. Come now therefore, and I will send thee unto Pharaoh, that thou mayest bring forth my people, the children of Israel, out of Egypt. Now, that's pretty neat. Moses, I want you to go to the ruler of the known world, the one that probably has a price on your head. This is the guy that runs everything. And you're going to go there, and you're going to get those people out of there. Your 2 million or so brethren, I want you to get them out of there. Verse 11, and Moses said unto God, who am I, that I should go unto Pharaoh, and that I should bring forth the children of Israel out of Egypt? And he said, certainly I will be with thee, and this shall be a token unto thee that I have sent thee. When thou hast brought forth the people out of Egypt, ye shall serve God upon this mountain. Moses said unto God, behold, when I come unto the children of Israel, and shall say unto them, the God of your fathers hath sent me unto you, and they shall say unto me, what is his name? What shall I say unto them? God said unto Moses, I am that I am. And he said, thus shalt thou say unto the children of Israel, I am hath sent me unto you. Now that could be developed as a paradigm of the verb, meaning I was, I am, and I always will continue to be. It's a threefold development of the verb to be. It's also called the tetragrammaton, and it's a lot of scholastic dispute as to how to properly pronounce it. It's absolutely fascinating. You think the irony of God is interesting in the positive sense. It's interesting about the irony of man the other way around. The Hebrew people were called by God to be the preserver of his word. Their primary contribution to mankind has been the custodian of his holy word. And incidentally, in candor, they've done an incredible job at that. There are characteristics of the Hebrew nation and its culture and its people that have done the most incredible job at preserving the text. They did not have printing or microfilm and that sort of thing. They had to copy by hand. All Hebrew letters, like Greek, have a numerical value. So when they copied a page, they would add up horizontally all the value of all the letters, and they'd add up vertically all the numbers, and they checked it all and had to add to the right sum. And they checked the sum on the page they had and the sum that they had on the page they copied. If there was an error, they did not look for it. They burned the paper and started over. That was the rabbinical tradition. The result of that is when we find something like the Dead Sea Scrolls and we unravel all the different things they found lots of other things besides the scrolls of Isaiah, but what's fascinating is not the differences, the subtle item here or there in the text of Isaiah as we found it there, plus the best texts that we had up to that day. The amazing thing is that they're so alike. The amazing thing is that there are no material differences, even though there's hundreds of years difference between that text and the best text prior to that date. So as you get into all this, you can't help but come with an awesome respect for Israel and preserving the Word. Having said that, though, I can't help but be amused by another irony. They were entrusted with the name of God. I am. God gave them His name. They revered that name so highly, they refused to pronounce it. And they put the tetragrammaton in the text instead. And over the centuries, forgot how. And the irony of it is one of the most interesting scholastic arguments, if you get into this sort of a trip, is it Jehovah, is it Yahweh, it's neither, it's probably something altogether different. But the interesting thing is we're not sure now how to pronounce it because they revered it so highly, they felt it was unpronounceable. They weren't worthy to pronounce it. And through those traditions, lost it. Fortunately, we have Him by a new name. In any case, we have the I am that I am. And from here, time permitting, but you can relax, time doesn't, there is a whole study that we could do because the Gospel of John is organized around the 7 I am statements of Jesus Christ. Now, one thing you should be aware of, I cannot resist showing you something else. The Gospel of John is 7 incidences given rise to 7 miracles which give rise to 7 discourses, and each of those discourses has an I am statement in the middle of it. I am the bread of life. I am the way, the truth, and life. I am the living water. I am the resurrection and the life. I am the light of the world. I am the true vine. I am the good shepherd. Those are I am statements. But there's another thing that occurs that I think is delightful, fascinating thing. Jesus Christ in chapter 8 gets into a delightful little discussion. It's a very important lesson for those of you that are going in the ministry to understand the role of tact and diplomacy when dealing with the unbelievers. They call him a bastard, and he speaks on their parentage, and it's a very, very interesting passage. Don't let the polite King James fool you as they get into a conflict between the Pharisees and Jesus Christ. Verse 19 of chapter 8. Then said they unto him, Where is thy Father? Now, don't mistake the tone there. What they're really doing is raising the issue of, that Mary was pregnant before they were married. Jesus answered and said, Ye neither know me nor my Father. If you'd know, he ducks that issue, that slur. He doesn't leave it. He comes back to it. He says, Ye are of your father the devil, and the lusts of your father ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning. Who's the first murderer? Cain? Wrong. Satan. Who'd he murder? Adam and Eve. Genesis chapter 3. It gets to verse 52 where the Jews said unto him, Now we know you've got a demon. Abraham is dead, and the prophets, thou sayest, if a man keep my saying, he shall never taste of death. Art thou greater than our father Abraham, who is dead, and the prophets are dead? Whom makest thou thyself? This is the accusation of the Pharisees. Jesus answered, verse 54, If I honor myself, my honor is nothing. It is my Father that honoreth me, of whom ye say that he is your God. Yet ye have not known him, but I know him. And if I should say I know him not, I should be a liar like unto you. But I know him, and keep his saying. Now that's his lesson in tact and diplomacy. It's very interesting that Jesus Christ, confronting any kind of sin in the world, always met it with compassion and forgiveness. There's one group of people that he never failed to use vituperative, vigorous language toward, even losing his temper in a sense. And that's the professional religionists of the day. If you're a follower of Jesus Christ, I suggest you're anti-religious in the true sense of that term. Religion in the sense that Adam and Eve tried to cover themselves as opposed to adopting the covering that God had provided. Now, what's interesting here is in verse 56, Jesus continuing, Your father Abraham rejoiced to see my day, and he saw it and was glad. Now, we don't have any trouble with that, but they sure did. Verse 57, the Jews said unto him, Thou art not yet 50 years old, and thou hast seen Abraham? Jesus said unto them, Verily, verily, I say unto you, before Abraham was, I am. Now, if you're a New Testament reader or a Gentile reading that sounds like a strange twist of tense of a verb or something. If you're rabbinical in your background and you read that, you recognize that what he was saying was, he was the voice in the burning bush. You and I would miss that idea, but they didn't. Notice verse 59, which proves it to us. They took up stones to cast at him. Why? Because they were obeying the law. If one was to blaspheme and declare themselves God, the punishment was stoning. And that's what they were trying to do. He, of course, slips away. Jesus Christ in John 8 claimed not only to be God, but to be the very voice in the burning bush. Ich Yach asher ich Yach, I am that I am. Say unto the children of Israel, I am, hath